Hey, it's Chris Best, Biker Dad TV, and the Biker Dad blog. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, one of my favorite places to ride, and fortunately I get to come here a couple times a year because of people like Justin Lovely with the Lovely Law Firm.
Having a good time, man, out here. It's awesome. Red Rock Harley Davidson. We're going live, shooting a bunch of podcast content. I couldn't speak anymore, so Chris is going to take over and lead the way here.
Yeah, we're here with the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers and Biker Justice USA. Talking about making our roads safer and also fighting for justice for bikers when that's necessary. And we're at Red Rock Harley Davidson. I actually haven't been here before. I thought I'd been at all the Vegas Harley dealers before.
Yeah, this
pretty
dealership
cool.
is awesome, man. Great hospitality. It's a huge dealership. Brandy, their marketing manager, has been awesome, been helping us all throughout the ways. We got a meeting room in the back. We're here for our annual meeting here. We're trying to figure out, before we go to Meekham's motorcycle auction, what are the good ways that we can help our clients? What's the changes that are coming down the pike in different markets? And then basically, I take little tidbits back to South Carolina, and then ultimately it trickles down to the client, and this is how we improve our representation. It's really masterminding and getting to know what's going and what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. Also, a big part of it is just fighting to make the roads safer. Those accidents don't happen in the first place, which is what's going on in there right now. Some of the attorneys are going through the accident scene management class that you guys sponsor all the time in South Carolina.
So important, and we've had several classes. Hundreds of bikers in Myrtle Beach have taken my class, sponsored by Road Guardians Accident Scene Management. We're starting it up in the Charleston market
Awesome.
actually this Saturday. So this Saturday is our first class
wow,
down there.
that's really cool.
Yeah, so we're going to be down there with the Hog chapter. It's going to be great, man. Fun.
I need to
With
get
North
down there for
Charleston,
one of the
Harley
classes so I can
Yep.
take my wife over there so she can see the Southern Charm people. She
Oh
would
yeah! Oh
love
my
me
God! So
forever.
my wife loves that show too. I actually, full disclosure, I like that show too. It's
As far as the trash TV she watches,
it's
that's
like
my favorite.
trash TV. That's the best. It's like what? Who are these people? Does this really happen? But that's not how Charleston is. Please God, don't think that.
It's a beautiful
yeah,
city.
Yeah.
We're here talking about making the roads safer and fighting for justice. And one of the things that we've been preaching as partners and NAML and obviously Myrtle Beach Biker Lawyer is having the right insurance. And we hear a lot of horror stories. And I actually just heard a actual success story. I mean, if you could say that, because it ended in tragedy, but somebody who had the right insurance and instead of having to fight insurance companies forever, got several $1 million because her parents were killed in a motorcycle crash. Tell people how that works and why it's so important.
Well, underinsured motorist coverage is the most important coverage that you can get if you're going to choose to get on two wheels and ride a motorcycle. You owe it to your family. If you don't want to do it for yourself, you owe it to your wife, you owe it to your kids. You've got to get your UIM. Now, everybody doesn't understand this. What is that? Well, it's in my state, at least, in South Carolina, it's optional coverage. And what it does is it steps into the shoes if the at-fault driver hits you on your bike and their coverage is inadequate. So if you go to the ER, it's a $25,000 bill, they don't have coverage or they don't have enough coverage, your first-party coverage will step in and start to pay. So, you mentioned where does that come in or when can it be a success? Well, you're right. When these are catastrophic claims, and it usually starts in a tragedy, and all motorcycle accidents are financially devastating. So if you do have that coverage, and here's an instance I'm going to describe. We just had a client whose son was riding his motorcycle and gets hit by a drunk driver. Okay, so first thing we look at is the at-fault insurance, and what does he have? He's got a minimum policy, and in South Carolina, it's $25,000. That's nothing. We've lost a life. He's lost a son, $25,000. Well, luckily, he actually had attended, and we had reviewed his policies. And so by stacking, which we can talk about in another podcast, but we were able to stack his UIM on his different motorcycles, his different vehicles. We were able to recover $1.3 million for them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened with this person I'm talking about. Her parents were killed on the way back from Sturgis. She was their insurance agent, so she knew what to do. Yeah. And they had several motorcycles and cars and had it all stacked, so they had about $3 million in uninsured motorist coverage.
Yeah. And so now that family has money. The one you mentioned as well as my client, they're financially prepared here. We didn't even charge a fee on that case because it was like, what are we going to do? He lost his life, and we were fortunately able to get it done really quickly for them, and so we just decided we're not going to charge an attorney fee. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's somebody that we met at an accident scene. That's why I tell everybody, any lawyer, any writer, anybody who wants to talk to me, is this class is so important, okay? because it's a chance for, Vicky's organization, our instructors are going to teach you these life-saving helmet removal, jaw thrust, tourniquet procedures, different first aid things. But the biggest thing takeaway is when I'm talking at lunchtime and I'm reviewing, I'm there. My associates are there, I'm there, and we're reviewing your insurance and saying you're covered or you're exposed. And they have no clue. Because what happens is you go to, let's say you go to this Harley, Red Rock, you want that red bike or this brown bike behind us, and you call up Geico and you want the cheapest thing. You're not thinking. You're euphoric. You want to go ride your motorcycle, right?
Absolutely.
But you got to check that declarations page and make sure you're covered. Again, you owe it to your wife. You owe it to your family if you're not going to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and I know from experience when I first got my motorcycles, Geico, I remember the conversation, and I rode like this for 10 years before I started working with NAML. They said, UMI, you don't have to have that. Nobody gets it. Don't worry about it. And then I came to my first NAML conference, and I was like, oh, crap, I am not protected. And so now I have close to $2 million in stacked insurance, and hopefully
you never use it.
Yeah.
But you have to have
it's there. And it costs a little bit more, and depending on your state and driving record, it costs a lot more. But you have to at least examine it. And maybe you can't afford what I'm doing, which is $300,000 on each vehicle, and I have 7 motorcycles and 4 cars.
Yeah.
But get at least $100,000 and stack those, and then you still have a lot more coverage. It's definitely better than none.
Just get the most you can afford.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I always tell everyone.
And I personally was in an accident in my truck in July, and we're going to be using my uninsured motorist in order to cover a lot of that. Thankfully, I wasn't hurt that badly, but beyond what their insurance had for sure. So from experience, I know it's a good thing.
You can never count on an at-fault driver to have enough. You can't even account these days if they have insurance at all.
Yeah.
Let alone enough.
If somebody's driving around drunk, they don't give two shits about themselves.
100%.
So they definitely don't care about your life. So
Right.
they're not gonna buy the insurance that protects you. You got to buy the insurance that protects you.
Yeah.
Right now, you guys may not know it, but if you don't have uninsured motorists, you're buying insurance for the other person, not for yourself.
Right.
Go buy some for yourself.
Yeah, and that's the full coverage myth, right? People think, hey, I've got full coverage. And I have this conversation every ASM class. I have this exact same conversation. And I said, you're not fully covered. Let me tell you why. And I look at their deck page individually, and I go through it line by line. And then they're just, their eyes are open like, wow, you're right, I'm exposed. And I say here, here, and here. And many times they'll log into the app right there, right on the spot, and up it, pay for it. And I know they're covered when they leave that class. It's awesome. It's a good feeling.
And I've looked at some too, and it's great. I got my brand new $30,000 motorcycle, and even if they pay for it in cash and they don't legally have to have collision and comprehensive, guess what? They protect their motorcycle, and then they skip the UM. It's like, you're going to protect your bike but not your body.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And they just don't know about it, so it's our job to educate it. And I think with the stories like you and I just told, that word is kind of getting out there. Yeah. So we're not banging our head against the wall. We're making a little bit of progress, which is great.
We're trying to get it out there as much as I can. We redid our motorcycle book for this routing season. It's available online. You can go to my website, myrtlebeachbikerlawyer.com, and you can download it for free. And I give this to, I think last count, we've had like 6,000 motorcyclists in Myrtle Beach that come through for bike rallies and everything, which is a lot, right? I mean, I'm not like a bestseller, but I don't need to be a bestseller. It's an educational book. And one of the things that we updated was with the new, traffic stats from NHTSA, and then, of course, more discussions, in-depth discussions on this UIM issue, because it's a huge problem, man. And it's the worst, and I've said this on these other podcasts I've shot this out here at Red Rock, that's the worst and most difficult conversation that I have to have with a biker, is to tell them, well, the at-fault driver didn't have insurance and you didn't have UIM or UM. There's zero I can do for you. Unbelievable.
Spoken to people who've lost a leg and got $4,000 in the end of it and still don't have a leg.
I mean, unbelievable.
It's
it's terrible, man. They're hard conversations, man. There's tears flowing on both sides.
Yeah.
And they're looking to me to be the strong guy and the advocate, and I can only be so strong. I mean, we have feelings too. I mean, I don't want to see somebody get their limb chopped off. I don't want to see a tragedy on a bike. That's why we try to educate, have these meetings, and do these classes, and just stop it, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to keep preaching it. We've been preaching it for years. I'm going to keep doing it, and we're going to keep shooting content until the day I die. So that's our goal.
And the bottom line is, not everybody can go see Jason and Justin and Tom and everybody else in person. So if you're in South Carolina, you can call Justin. Actually, if you're in Anchorage, Alaska, you can call him and help you. But if you want to get somebody in your area, give me a call. I work with enamel attorneys all over the country, and we can find somebody to help you in your area if it's not Justin.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we got a great referral network. I mean, we're meeting. These are some of the best lawyers in the country right here meeting. I mean, we're in the middle of the week right now. They've taken the time out of their day. You know, they could be busy back at home working cases. No, they say no. They see the value in this and meeting with me. I can share some knowledge. They share some knowledge. Again, it's what I started to say at the beginning of the podcast is it trickles down to the client, and then moving forward more in 2024, right? We're going to have more for our clients, more ways to level the playing field with these insurance companies. And NAML's a perfect way to do it.
It's all about safety and justice is what I boil it down to. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah, man.
Speaking about safety, we talk about a little bit about riding in the rain, and it's kind of an ongoing joke for me. Like people who follow me on social media, wherever I go, the rain comes with me. I've ridden in rain in New York and Miami and LA and wherever. The rain follows me. So I kind of have the technique down. But talk a little bit about that. Have you been stuck in the rain much when you rode?
Yeah, well, that's the worst, right? It's pins and needles, right, when it hits, and that is the worst. I mean, you got to prepare for this stuff. You have to think ahead. It goes along with safety. You have to read the weather report.
Yeah.
Down in out here in Vegas, I think we're fine.
Yeah.
So, although the last couple of days it was raining. If you're down in Florida or South Florida, Mid Florida, I mean, it's raining every day at 3:00. Myrtle Beach, during the summer season, it's the same kind of deal. In the afternoon, you're going to expect a storm. So you kind of got to just plan your rides, and you got to pack protective gear if you know that's where you're going to go, if it's going to be a long ride or a multi-day ride. But it's that common sense and that just wisdom that comes with being on the road for so long.
Yeah.
To know those things. And yeah, you're going to get caught every once in a while. I mean, it's happened to you. Yeah. At least you can turn it into some comical content, and it's good for everybody. But that's a learning lesson.
Yeah,
right?
And that's one of the things is that I would suggest to people is ride in the rain at some point. Make sure there's not any lightning and 60-mile-per-hour crosswinds, because I've been stuck in that stuff too. But if you get a chance when it's just a normal rainy day, even if you go out like you did when you first started riding, go out in a parking lot and ride around in the rain a little bit.
Yeah.
That way, when you're on the road and you're caught in it and you have to handle it, you don't have a choice. Because here's what I would not do unless there's lightning, and even when there's lightning, this isn't necessarily the smartest thing, is pull over under an underpass when it's raining on your motorcycle on the interstate. You're 1,000 times more likely to have some distracted driver slide in the rain and slam into you than you are to get hurt riding in the rain if you have done it and you're prepared for it. Right when it rains is the most dangerous, especially on the surface roads.
Yeah.
Not as much on the interstate, because on surface roads, cars stop. People have junky cars that leak oil and everything else. If you may have noticed this and not understand why, but the roads are all curved like this because they're designed for that stuff to run off the road.
Yeah.
And it runs off the road right when it starts raining. It rains for a half hour, all that oil and stuff is washed away. But right when it starts raining is the worst time. And then, like, if you're like me and you've probably 25,000 miles in the rain, it just is a thing. It's just another thing to do. I will say the worst thing that's ever happened to me on a bike, and I've had a lot of close calls with semi trucks and all kinds of stuff. I was on my way to New York to see Tom Schimmerling from Alabama, so I rode all the way from Alabama, no problems whatsoever. And I hit the state line in New York. I think I was going from Pennsylvania into New York. And I saw some rain on the radar. I pulled over just like you said, checked the weather report. Everything looks like it's okay now. And right as I crossed the state line into New York, it's like a hurricane. I'm not even joking. I live on the coast. I've been through hurricanes. We were in a hurricane during the NAML conference last year. 60-mile-an-hour winds, lightning, everything just out of nowhere. Nowhere to go either. So I see an abandoned way station. I pull in there. I was like, okay, great, I'll pull in here. And guess what? I'm stuck in this parking lot with no cover, and every 5 feet there's a light pole 60 feet in the air. And I'm like, this is where I die. And I called my wife. I was like, I'm serious. I might die. Here's where I am. I called the highway patrol and asked them to come and get me. Come and give me a ride. This is not safe. It cleared up before they could get there, but I posted pictures of it just soaking wet. And I've done that before, and I've even gotten to the point where I don't even bother with rain gear unless it's cold, because on the way back from your area once I was riding, and I think I went north a little bit to go through North Carolina and ride ride the Smoky Mountains a little bit. I got caught in the rain in the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina, and I look over and I see one of those escape roads for the truck. You know what I'm talking about? Runaway ramp. And I'm freezing because I'm dumb and didn't put on rain gear. He's like, I don't need it. But then I saw the runaway ramp, and I'm right next to like a wall of semis, and it's pouring down rain. That's another time I was like, no, I'm out. I pulled over at the rest stop, warmed up, put on my rain gear, and of course, right when you put on your rain gear, it stops raining. It's 1,000 degrees. Yeah. And you're talking about the rain in Florida. I never bother to put on my rain gear and down where I live, because that's what it is. There's a line of storms that comes through.
Real quick.
Yeah. By the time you stop and put on your rain gear and then start again, it's kind of a waste of time. What's really cool is actually you cool off really nice for a while, and then you get in the wind and it's 95 degrees and it blow drives you by the time that you're getting anywhere. So, but being comfortable is a safety issue. So if you're not comfortable in the rain and being wet, then you definitely should put on rain gear. I'm 100% comfortable being soaked head to toe and riding a motorcycle as long as I'm not cold. So just ride your own ride and know your skills.
And your experience level, and just have that wisdom of more miles on the road, and you'll figure it out.
And don't be afraid, like I said, to go practice in the rain. Another thing that happened to me, like probably the first time I ever rode in the rain, was I was on my 2014 Street Bob. It's a Dyna. It's a smaller bike, no ABS. It's a little bit older. And I was kind of like puckering because I'm in the rain. And I was like, but I got to do this. Stoplight, the light turns red. It's one of those situations, do you throttle and run the light, or do you hit the brakes? And my dumbass decided to hit the brakes, and the bike just went sideways, and I just slid through the intersection. It was like slow motion. I'm sliding sideways. The drivers at the stoplight are looking at me like, what the heck? And then a really big thing that I've learned in all those since then is I hit the throttle and it straightened it out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people think slamming on the brakes, I got slammed on the brakes, and you have to have the experience, because sometimes it's hit the throttle is better than slamming on the brakes. And there have been plenty of times where I did that. I knew I was going to lose control of the bike if I stayed on the brakes, and instead of slowing down, I sped up and straightened the bike out and got the hell out of there, and that works a lot more often than the brakes do. So anyway, go learn to ride in the rain is my point, and suck it up. My riding course in Houston, because in Texas you have to have a riding course to get a license, rained all 4 days. So I didn't ride on the street in the rain for like 3 more years, like on my own. And so I learned I really needed to. And it's a good thing, because I started riding.
That's when I was talking to Jason Melton earlier, and I was asking him, hey, do you tell your clients to have these advanced courses? And part of it, and here's a good point he says, is, if you haven't been exposed to whatever that element is, if it's rain, if it's snow, if it's, if you're going off-road, you can't just jump on the motorcycle and think you're going to remember it.
Yeah.
And he equated it to, driving or flying an airplane. I mean, you got to, like, people who wreck airplanes are the ones who haven't been flying it in a while, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with motorcycles, man. You just got to get used to it and swallow your pride, go out and practice in a parking lot, take an advanced Harley class. They probably have them here at Red Rock. I know they have them back where I'm from. They also have them at your local community college usually. And don't be too proud to take those classes. Especially at the beach, a lot of people don't ride over. It's cold, right? And so they'll keep it off, and then or keep it garaged. And then March comes around, spring break, everybody wants to fire it up because we're about to go to Daytona, and then we're about to go to Myrtle Beach for bike week. And guess what? They're dropping the bikes because they're just doing stupid things.
Oh yeah,
making stupid mistakes, and then you got to call me. So. Just got to think about it and be smart, man. And again, we're gonna say this as many times. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't listen to us, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, and think of it kind of like your profession. It's you're talking about if you haven't had the experience. It's just I have a friend who's a doctor, and he's like, doctors screw up all the time because they've never seen that before. You don't know what it is unless you have seen it before. Same with the law. The reason you guys are so good at motorcycle cases is because you've seen it. You know it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've seen the rain and you've gone through it and you realize that, you'll either do one or two things. I'm never riding the freaking rain again, or now I know it's not. And when you're not nervous and scared of it, then you can do it. And that's the way it is with a lot of stuff. And one of the things that people are kind of iffy about and wonder why psychotic bikers do this is lane splitting.
Yeah.
A couple of new states used to be, for the longest time, California was the only state in America where there was any kind of lane splitting. But
they actually passed a law. It's legal there. They encourage it.
Yeah.
They did some state study that it cut down on. I mean, that's up for debate. I mean, I don't know. It seems crazy for me. I mean, I tell you this, every YouTube short that I see where it's like a motorcycle crash, it's always some jackass doing that filtering or splitting, man.
Well, the splitting is there are a couple things. Like if you follow the actual law of splitting, which is you can't go more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, over the traffic. And that doesn't give you the right to speed because the traffic's not going fast. If the speed limit is 55 and the cars are going 55, lane splitting is illegal if you're going over 55.
Yeah.
But if it's going 20 miles an hour and you go 30 to get in between it, that's different. When you see those people doing that stuff, it's because they're doing wheelies going 120 miles an hour through it. Or some car rider who doesn't know that it's completely legal gets pissed off and runs them into them on purpose or opens a door on them just to screw with them because they don't like the fact that it's happening.
Or they're just not paying attention. They're changing lane real quick, and then even if you're going low speed. I mean, if you're at a stop, right? If you're stopped in traffic and you got bikes, throttling through beside you, and you just change hard left or hard right, you're not thinking about that.
Yeah.
So it's
because you think everything's stopped. I mean, it's a little more understandable than somebody who just drives like that. And there's a big difference between lane splitting and lane filtering. So lane splitting is, like I said, in California, the only place it's legal, and you're only supposed to go 10 miles an hour faster than the traffic. Because Arizona and I think Colorado's either talking about it or past it, allows lane filtering, and that is when traffic is at a dead stop on a motorcycle. You can go
on
through
up to
there.
the front. Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, I say this all the time. It's never going to happen. But if everybody rode motorcycles instead of cars, we have less traffic jam, less pollution, less road rage for sure, and definitely not any motorcycle accidents except for the stupid stuff we do ourselves. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But that eases traffic for everybody. And if you're in a place like LA, it also cuts down on the pollution, which is really important for everybody, but for them especially. And then, so what lane filtering does is that if there's a traffic jam in Phoenix, if you're riding a Harley that's not air cooled, your bike is going to melt down and shut down and die on you anyway. And also, like I said, it cuts down on the traffic and everything else. So that's becoming more common. I've done that when I'm stuck on the highway and I know my bike's going to die, even when it was illegal. Don't tell the cops. But I got stuck in a traffic jam in Florida on my bike, and it was like, I looked at my Waze app, and it was like 13 miles. And my bike's already, your Harley's overheating when it starts to smell like horse manure. That's what the smell is. And mine was doing that. I said, screw this, and I lane filtered. There was a point where the semi driver got pissed off, though, and tried to cut me off, and I was like, you should be happy that I'm getting off the road. Man. I mean, I'm one less person you have to wait behind. But you're right. The safety aspect's up for debate for sure.
Well, I can tell you in South Carolina and Myrtle Beach especially, we see that, and they're going to charge you with reckless driving because they just don't get it. They don't get it in there. And we get during Bike Week, while we handle injury cases, my wife has a huge traffic practice, and it's always, they see a motorcycle doing that. They're going to pull them over, charge them. Now, whether it sticks or not, usually we can make the argument, just what we just mentioned and talked about the last 5 minutes, and we can get it dismissed or reduced to something else that doesn't going to affect the insurance. But in our state, you're getting a reckless driving.
Yeah, in that case, when I was in Florida, I mean, if a cop would have pulled me over, I would have said, look, you would have had a person down in the road, dehydrated and overheated, and you have to get an ambulance in here to get me.
Well, that's part of what I tell you about biker prejudice too, man. So, right, they're not going to, if they're not educated on that, they're not going to know that, right? Same way, if a biker gets hit, he gets taken to the ambulance, and they're working the wreck, and then they find the motorcyclist at fault. It's the same thing, man. They just don't get it unless they're, maybe a biker cop, who's riding every day, and they understand it. A lot of people don't understand this stuff, man. And so we have to educate not only our clients in the community, but we got to educate our law enforcement. And this accident scene management class that we teach to consumers, Vicki has an advanced course that she teaches to first responders and police. And so they need to see continuing education credit anyway, and we're able to offer that as well. And so it's a great way to cut down on the reckless driving, cut down on this biker prejudice issue, while at the same time teaching them the same life-saving skills. That's a triple win for our community and everybody, and we're glad to do that at Lovely Law Firm.
Fortunately, there are a lot of first responders and police who ride, but there are also I'm a huge supporter of law enforcement. Let's just admit it. There's a certain percentage of them who become cops just because they want to be professional dicks, and they're the ones who are going to do that to you. I have some not quite legal lights on my truck. After it got hit, I'm lighting this thing up, and people aren't going to be able to say they don't see me anymore. And I was in Mississippi, and this highway patrolman lights up his cherries and goes, "Those lights on the front of your truck are not legal." Spirit of the law is they don't want you impersonating a cop, so they don't want red and blue lights on your thing. And mine just has Ram lit up in red. Like, you're not going to think I'm a cop because my
it's like, come on, man.
And another instance of that, and it involves lane filtering, is I was riding through Alabama, and the same thing. There was a wreck or something, and the road was completely shut down, and a police officer did stop me, and fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know which, I was on the way to escort another police officer's funeral. And I was like, this crash is going to keep me from getting to that funeral. And he's like, okay. And then he lit up his lights and cleared it for me to go. So that was the only time I've really kind of had a trouble with it. And I made it to the escort, which is great. I'm a member of the Patriot Guard Riders. I mean, you don't sign a membership, but I ride with them as much as I can. And we were on the way to help with a retired officer who passed away, and he knew what was going on, so he let me go. So that was kind of cool. And and that's the ones the officers and things who understand that that's what we're out there doing all the time. They usually look out for us rather than cause us problems. Now the issue in a town like Myrtle Beach, where twice a year it's taken over by bikers, and not all of them are as responsible and friendly and everything as us. So I'm sure some of those officers have had bad experiences, and some of the bikers.
They're also working long shifts, man. They're tired. They're done with it probably by about the third or fourth day, and you're right. And sometimes they don't pay them overtime, which is that's a different issue. But you don't want to be on the bad side of somebody during bike week. It's not.
Maybe there's something we can do in Myrtle Beach outreach with that. And it just
we try to help them because we know that they're going to look, they're bringing in outside agencies, and we'll try to bring them pizza, bring them some coffee early in the morning. Amy will take them like this is funny, but donuts. They appreciate it, and just to give back a little bit, because it's hot.
Yeah,
they're working their ass off, and they're keeping everybody safe. Because for the most part, there's very, very low crime, very, very low issues. We do have some crashes that happen, and then some traffic. They're gonna pull people over, but
And people drinking a little too much, but they usually stick to. I haven't seen any problems outside, like where the bars are.
Yeah, they go to the bars and they go home, and it's a good, safe. It's a fun week.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, we do a thing. I live in the Mobile, Alabama area, and Mardi Gras is big there. Yeah. People don't know this, but Mardi Gras actually started in Mobile, not in New Orleans. New Orleans does it bigger and in their own way better, so I'm not like, people in Mobile are like, oh, New Orleans isn't the real Mardi Gras. The New Orleans Mardi Gras is badass, but we have our own. And one of the things that happens during the parades are for weeks, and these cops sometimes have to stand on the same street corner for 12 hours. They can't even, unless they get somebody to relieve them, they can't even go to the bathroom. So 2 days before Fat Tuesday is a day called Joe Cane Day, which is like the wild, crazy, biker, out of control, adult fun day. And so we make meals. My friend Tony, who owns a restaurant called Bob's Downtown Diner, make 1,000 meals, pack them up, and then we go and give them to these guys while they're sitting on the streets, because they they can't stop to eat, they can't go to the bathroom. And I will tell you that's gone a long way in them recognizing what bikers are doing, and kind of maybe not like being really strict about things that aren't really causing any problem. In fact, they've gone so as far as that one of a cop who's not even a biker decided one year that we're going to take this entire street and we're going to dedicate it to bikers. We shut this street down. The only people allowed on this street every day during parades are bikers, so it's kind of a really cool thing. So if you have that issue where you live, maybe just reach out to the cops and help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had on here to talk about. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, no, I was glad to see you, man. It's good to, we get a refreshing talk here, several little snippets. We can do this long form podcast. I'm glad to have you out here. We're going to talk some more these next couple of days of meetings, and I know you have a surprise that we'll reveal later, not on this podcast, but it's a personal surprise that you're doing which I think is really, really cool, and I'm glad all of us can be involved in that. I'm honored that you invited me to come, so I appreciate it.
It's cheesy and weird and all this stuff, but it's kind of like this kind of humor I have. She's gonna love it, and she's also gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing?" So that's she knows my personality though, and it's gonna be really cool. One thing that I'm disappointed about this trip is that normally I stay a day longer and go ride in the mountains in the desert, and my wife who's coming along with me this time, we're actually going to Denver for the
Denver Motorcycle Expo up there with Rider Justice and one of the newer members of NAML too. So don't get to ride here, but I get to go hang out in Denver a little bit, which I haven't been able to do before.
Cool deal.
All right, thanks.
Close us out.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for being here on the podcast and
excellent.
supporting Biker Dad and accident scene management and everything that you guys do in the community.
Yeah, man. Thanks. So this is Justin Lovely. I'm signing off. Again, Chris Best, Biker Dad. You can see us. We're on Fox on the weekends. You know, if you've been watching us and following us over the years, you know that we're there. We're going to be doing a lot of things, getting ready for our May rally coming up. So stay in touch with us. Again, I mentioned the ASM classes. You've heard me talk about those before. Reach out to us so we can get you on the schedule. And subscribe and like and share this wherever you consume your media. Again, MyrtleBeachBikerLawyer.com. I'm attorney Justin Lovely. This was all powered by the Lovely Law Firm Injury Lawyers.